Yesterday in Speaker's Corner, I had a discussion with somebody called what's his name? Really bad with names. I think his name was. Okay, we're gonna have to skip his name. Anyway, he was asking about Islam. Like, what is the proof of Islam? Like, what's the he didn't use the word ultimate, but that's what he's trying to get to. Like, what is the strongest evidence for Islam? And we, of course, as Muslims, we use the linguistic argument of the Quran for its miraculous nature, or predictions in the Quran, or preservation, or the sociological miracle, or the lost historical information in the Quran, and so on and so forth. There's lots of ways that we do it. However, I wanted to just cut to the chase and get to the main point. And the main point is that, firstly, you need to be sincere as a human being in your journey towards God. So if you're sincere and you're looking for guidance and you're praying to God to guide you, then you will clearly see Islam is the truth. So you need sincerity, and sincerity is needed before any of these arguments are used.
You naming sincere whoever accepts Islam is not being sincere. I mean, I'm baffled how you don't see that. Of course, you are a complete blind, cultist, buffoon, brain-dead minion, sheep. Okay, you naming sincere, your presuppositions, before even investigate, is being sincere. So you say sincere equals whoever accepts Islam. Are you being sincere? What if Richard Dawkins said the same? Sincere by definition equals whoever accepts atheism. What if Richard Dawkins said that? Is he being sincere according to you? No. Why not?
So, Islam also has an inbuilt system of falsification. It works in a similar way to science in many ways. 4 challenges, which I'm happy to take questions on in the questions and answer or in the cross-examination. 1, if this book was from other than God, the Quran says about itself, there would have been many contradictions. Chapter 4, verse 92.
Another sincere person. Okay, guys, the Quran is the book with the most contradictions from all the books in human history. Okay, when Muslim apologists say that, pretending there are no contradictions in the Quran, I'm wondering, now what's going on? Okay, and what's going on is clear. They are being sincere to the tradition of Islam. To be completely brain dead, zombies, robots, following a cult without conscience, with zero self-reflect, elimination and zombification of the human mind.
Number 2, the inimitability challenge. Try and produce something like it.
Yeah. Although I'm tempted, but today we will deal with the prophecies. So, although I'm tempted, please go on.
And there is a quantifiable way of doing so, which we can talk about in the question and answers. Number 3, that Islam makes predictions about the future. And it specifies time and place. And this is my claim. It's the only religion to make a series of predictions about the future, none of which have not materialized. Whereas with anyone you want to mention who makes predictions of the future, at least some of their predictions will be falsified.
Guys, in this video I cannot include the endless Christian Prince comedies with Muhammad's failed prophecies due to time restrictions. I will only deal with their best supposed prophecy. But for someone to speak that confidently, I don't think Mohammed Hijab is deceiving people. His mind is simply zombified. Okay, he is that deluded. Okay, in that level.
And I'm willing to be tested on this.
Here's the point. These issues should only be discussed amongst people who know what the qira'at are and who understand some of these questions that are being raised.
So is what you're saying the shak that came, or not the shak, but the crisis that you had was in relation to this question of the relationship between the ahruf and the qira'at, basically?
No. The crisis I had wasn't that. The crisis I had was, that was what generated. But what was the crisis? The crisis was very simple. Traditional understandings of ahruf and qira'at cannot answer some of these pressing questions that are now being poked by our people outside of, by our academics, by their academics outside of the faith tradition. You see, in a Muslim environment, there's always some respect that we have for the Quran. We should. In a Muslim environment, we'll press a little bit and then we'll say, okay, khalas, sami'na wa ata'na.
Test it. It's falsifiable. And in fact, this falsifiability is even stronger than the scientific one. Why? Because in scientific falsifiability, everything is susceptible to falsifiability. Everything that's done now, if I do a scientific experiment, now it can be falsified. But with a retrospective perspective, a hindsight perspective, if predictions have been made of the future, we can see whether those predictions are right or wrong. And we can talk about those predictions there's a book coming out called The Forbidden Prophecies by iERA. That's going to be something which details that case in detail.
Dawa zombies often claim the Quran being more reliable than science, because science is changing. Therefore, the Quran is over the investigating ability of science.
Sometimes we belittle the Quran accidentally. When we see an ayah in the Quran that talks about, for example, the camels and how we created it, or when Allah says that you were an alaqa, you were a nutfatin min maniyyin, or when Allah talks about natural phenomena, what do we do straight away? We say, scientific miracle. This is rubbish.
So, your book, published by iERA, was rubbish, after all, Hamza Georges. But now we need to trust your other book about the prophecies. Maybe in 1 year you will say, this is rubbish as well.
Video, I said this is the way I am defining a fact for the purposes of this discussion. And
what is that definition?
Yeah. And that's the definition I used. Which
is it?
Which I said was something absolute, something that's not going to change, and something that can't be revised.
So, according to Subboor, when it comes to evolution, a fact is something absolute, something that is not going to change, and something that cannot be revised. That's how prophecies are over science. Because when you investigate science, a fact means something absolute, something that is not going to change, and something that cannot be revised. This is what he defines as fact in his paper when it comes to evolution. Now let's see what is a fact when it comes to prophecies in the Quran.
Now, what's the criteria to test whether something is or is not a genuine prophecy? I want to ask you that. How would you discern the truth from falsehood?
You'd use empirical evidence.
Exactly, you would use empirical evidence. Something verifiable, something falsifiable, and something precise.
3 again. Sorry. 3 again. Something verifiable, something falsifiable, and something precise. It's not the other 3. So when it comes to prophecy in the Quran, suddenly a fact, evidence, became something verifiable, something falsifiable, and something precise.
And I'm willing to be tested on this.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam rasulillah. Firstly, assalamu alaikum. Thank you for joining us on a very interesting topic. So, The Forbidden Prophecies. This is a book that we've recently published, and this is a very powerful, we believe, argument for the prophethood.
You are pretending you are using your mind now.
he believes that this man called Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the final messenger of God, therefore whatever he says is true. Now, what I want to do is this. These are aspects of Islam that we all believe in and accept. What if I come along and I tell you something? I tell you hypothetically, before you do takfir on me, hypothetically, there is a sahih narration of the Prophet ﷺ that you have to wear a yellow hat on Sundays. Hypothetically. Raise your hand if you're going to wear a yellow hat on Sundays.
But I must agree, we are very touched with your skepticism. I mean, isn't that right? How was that? Ah, yes. First, you need to be sincere.
In the Western world, in the secular world, in the world where you believe in material and matter and everything is physical, psychics are actually doing really well. They're actually doing really well. So if you go down to New York, London, Tokyo, Shanghai, Brazil, whatever, you're going to come across these psychics. You're going to come across these people who are going to speak about, I can tell you the future, I can tell you who you're going to get, if you want to get married to somebody, do you want someone to like you? So there's this fascination with the unseen. There's this fascination with the unseen. And this fascination hasn't gone away, although religion to a large extent has died within the Western world. So this particular type of interest in what people just want to know about the future, this interest has not actually gone away.
According to your prophet, psychics and fortune tellers are real.
Okay, so here we have Sahih al-Bukhari, 5762. 5762. And it said, narrated Aisha, some people asked Allah's messenger. I'm just reading this one as an example. There are a bunch of these. There are a bunch of these in the hadiths. Narrated Aisha, some people asked Allah's messenger about the foretellers. So people telling the future. He said, they are nothing. They said, oh, Allah's messenger, sometimes they tell us of a thing which turns out to be true. So sometimes these guys are making predictions and prophecies about the future and they turn out to be right. How can we dismiss them? How can you say they're nothing? Allah's messenger said, a jinn, devil, snatches that true word and pours it into the ear of his friend, the foreteller, as one puts something into a bottle. The foreteller then mixes with that word 100 lies. Now, pay attention to what's going on here. Muhammad is not attributing these things to a purely natural origin of this person just getting lucky or this person, using his human knowledge and wisdom to predict the future. He's attributing these accurate predictions and prophecies to a supernatural source. He's saying demons are sneaking into paradise. Remember, you've heard about the demons, sneaking into paradise and stuff before. That's what stars are, according to the Quran. According to the Quran, when you see a shooting star, it's because Allah took a star and hurled it at a demon who was trying to sneak into paradise to hear his plans. Well, guess what? Sometimes the demons succeed. They actually hear something of Allah's plans, and then they go and they tell a soothsayer, a foreteller, fortune teller, false prophet, whatever you want to call them, tell them something that's about to happen. Then that person tells everyone, hey, everyone, here's what's going to happen next year, or something like that. And it's actually because a demon was aware of what Allah was planning and shared that information. And so should you believe this fortune teller, foreteller, soothsayer, false prophet, whatever, because he accurately predicted the future? Muhammad himself says no, because that truth is going to be mixed with a bunch of lies as well. The thing he got right is going to be mixed with lies, theological lies and other kinds of lies and so on.
Subboor, your prophecies are already refuted. Because the Bible and your prophet said that even false prophets can make accurate prophecies. But for fun, we will continue this video.
Now, in the book which I mentioned at the beginning, The Forbidden Prophecies, it goes through this in a lot more detail. We're going to do a sort of quick roller coaster tour of this. But just look at these concepts. First, it has to be risky, right? So if I say to you guys, next year, you're going to get ill. It's not really risky, is it? Next year, you may or may not get married. What's wrong with that? Not only is that not risky, that's actually unfalsifiable. You can't actually test that. If I say this person may or may not get married, doesn't really make any sense. It has to be accurate. It has to be something concrete. So it can't be, and you get this when you read horoscopes. Of course, we don't read horoscopes as Muslims, but next year, your financial situation will be such that you will be pleased, but not exactly pleased, but you may also have issues. Those sort of things are unfalsifiable. They're too vague. It also needs to be numerous. So if you happen to make, and as we're going to see later on, one of the claimants, he made lots of prophecies. If you make lots of endless prophecies, and one of them turns out to be true, that's not really evidence, because you could have been right by sheer coincidence. So it needs to be numerous, it needs to be accurate, it needs to be consistently shown to be true. It also needs to be in chronological order. So if I say, what's going to happen is event A, then event B. But if event B happens before A, then that's not really the prophecy being fulfilled. It needs to be in a chronological order. It needs to be preserved. So for example, here we have a man who made a prophecy and it came true. When did it come true? 100 years ago. When did the man live? 200 years ago. So we need to have that prophecy written at least 200 years ago, or else it could have been re-engineered. And lastly, this is very important, we need to look at the agenda, the character and integrity of the person making the claim.
Okay, let's start with your character. You are a blind cultist that publicly said that he will accept everything Muhammad claims without investigation. So, your character is C. Let's see the character of your prophet, the most obvious liar in human history. Someone just needs to see Muhammad's convenient revelations to see the level of his lies. Not even children in playgrounds make such obvious lies. Not to mention demon-possessed, bewitched, admittedly deluded, suicidal. So, the worst biased cultist imaginable is investigating the worst liar ever. So, how on earth is this evidence for your case?
On a quick sort of journey about the Prophet ﷺ, right? He claimed he was a true messenger of God. And what we find is, according to the criteria which I mentioned previously, if you go back one slide, he makes predictions which we can actually test in this way. In fact, what you will not really find is that not only are his predictions within this matrix, they actually surpass this matrix as well.
By the gods, an owl.
Subboor Ahmed, you are a complete idiot. Okay, if I don't call you an idiot, YouTube will take my videos down. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, Subboor, your prophet fails in every single of these criteria tragically, my friend. Okay, so let's see.
He spoke about the defeat of Roman Persia. What we have is we have a narration from him. During the Battle of Khandaq, there was a massive rock and the Sahaba couldn't break the rock. So they called the Prophet ﷺ, who was physically very strong.
Hadith. Next. That is from the Hadith. 200 years after. So, next. Let's see your criteria, you idiot. Let's see your criteria. How about chronological order? When this Hadith was written? I really enjoy how you didn't mention the sources. Why? because you might write Bukhari 200 years after. How about your agenda, character, and integrity? How about that? You don't showing the sources. How consistently right? Wait, Muhammad was consistently right. How about preservation? Maybe the hadith is preserved. You admit, Al-Bukhari admitted that 99% of all hadiths are most probably corrupted. So how about the preservation?
These two were superpowers. Russia and the United States. They were superpowers. And he's
Subboor, find a room and go masturbate for how amazing that is. In the meanwhile, you are misleading people because you are focusing people, Persia and Rome, when in fact, when this prophecy happened, is this an urban myth from the hadiths? Maybe Muhammad didn't even said that. The story seems like an urban myth. What rocks? They couldn't break it and they called the prophet and he broke it. The story seems like an urban myth, by the way.
Right? Another time a man came up to the Prophet ﷺ and said, tell me about the hour. The Prophet said, the one asked knows no more of it than the one asking. Then the man said, tell me about its signs. And the Prophet said, that you see the barefooted, unclothed herdsmen competing in the construction of tall buildings. Right? Very explicitly clear, falsifiable, concrete, accurate, risky. Risky. Why is it risky?
Uh-oh, retard alert! Retard alert, class!
Ahmed Subboor, you should see a psychiatrist. Guys, if you see the intro this person made, how well he established the criteria, the examples he gave, and now his mind just, just shut down. His mind, when it comes to Islam, his mind shuts down completely. Subboor Ahmed, you should see a psychiatrist. I cannot pronounce this word. A psychiatrist. How risky was this prophecy? You will see Bedouins, barefooted Bedouins, competing who will make the tallest building. Muhammad was a Bedouin. So, the first part is already, okay, we will see ourselves, we are barefooted, competing in tall buildings. And this prophecy happened after 1,400 years. How risky was this prophecy? Are you serious, man? What are you talking about?
Because who had a tradition of building tall buildings? The Hagia Sophia, which is in Istanbul, this was built before this prophecy. And this is an extravagant tall building. The Romans had tall buildings, the Persians had tall buildings, the Indians had tall buildings, the Chinese had tall buildings. The Mayans had tall buildings. The Prophet ﷺ could have said, they're going to compete with each other with tall buildings. However, he didn't say them. He actually pointed towards a certain type of Arab, the Bedouin Arabs. Now
So, he said the most unlikely to do that. Subboor Ahmed, you have a problem, my friend. Islam destroyed your mind. It was not risky at all. It was the most cliché prophecy ever. But let's remind ourselves what you were saying earlier.
Right? So if I say to you guys, next year, you're going to get ill. It's not really risky, is it?
What if I tell you, until the end of humanity, some barefooted Bedouins will compete in tall buildings? Is that risky? And it happens after 1,400 years.
It also needs to be in chronological order. So if I say, what's going to happen is event A, then event B. But if event B happens before A, then that's not really the prophecy being fulfilled. It needs to be in a chronological order.
Okay, fine, go on.
This is Sahih Bukhari, so don't tell me this is made by the Jews.
And as long you are the one who accept this to be a prophecy, then you have to accept the defeat that your prophet is a false prophet. Read with me carefully. Allah Messenger said, and this is your Muslim translation, not my translation. The hour will not be established till the bigger group, two bigger group fight each other, whereupon there will be a great number of casualty, one be on both sides, and they will be following one and the same religion doctrine. This which means there's one religion will be victorious from the two group, both of them they are from the same religion actually, but one of them is going to be victorious, and that is the religion of the world. That's it. And then
I can explain that.
Okay, hold on. Then, and by the way, we have already many two groups, bigger groups. They have, but none of them. Hold on, no, none of them involve only two religion. This is a big fat lie, because in the World War I, in the World War II, was involved even Muslims, even Buddhas, don't know. Just wait. We will go to the tall building because this is not the topic now. And then till this is second, number two, till about 30 Dajjal liars appear, and each one of them will be claimed to be that he is Allah Messenger. And I saw a list in the internet, Muslim trying to squeeze their with the 30 Dajjal until now they could not get them. And then he continue till the religious knowledge is taken away by the death of religion scholars, which mean you Muslims, you have no scholars no more, and all of you will become potatoes. This is number three. And then earthquake will increase in number. 5 will pass quickly. Time will pass quickly. 6.
It says
Hold on.
Until you will have no more scholars.
Yes, until you have no more scholar, which mean there's no more.
The end.
Yeah, but no. This continue. This is number 5. This is stages, my friend. Don't be. This is why they are counting you number 1, number 2, number 3. So those things have to pass, starting from the number 1, then number 2, then number 3, and then number 4. So what is number 4?
Okay.
What is number 3? Till religious knowledge is taken away by death of religious scholar, which means you Muslims will have 0 imam exist in earth. 0, which means Islam obviously is. Then number 4, earthquake will increase in number. Time will pass quickly. 6, affliction will appear. Al-Harj, and they asked Muhammad what is the Harj. He said this is about killing each other. People will start killing each other like crazy. Till the wealth will be abundance. People, they will leave money in the street and nobody care for it. And this is stupid crazy. How the people are killing each other and then they will leave money in the street. So abundant, and that the wealth a person will worry, lost nobody, which should accept his zakat. Imagine. And then whenever he will present it to someone, that person, which means you present the money, he will say I do not need it, which means time will come, people do not need money. How
these things did not happen yet.
Hold on. Yes. Thank you very much. Not happened yet. And look what it says, number 9. Listen. Everybody know you cannot answer yet. We are not done. And number 9, then it says, till the people complete with one.
There's no screen, by the way.
Okay, yeah. I think it's a YouTube issue. Okay. Till the people complete with one each other in construction of high building. So my friend, 8 things have to happen, and then the tall buildings will be established, and this is a proof that your prophet is a big fat liar.
In the hadith Subboor is referring to, a mysterious stranger asks Muhammad about the unseen, and he gives the answer. When a slave woman will give birth to her mistress. He didn't include that part. But there is another hadith, Subboor won't tell you. A Jew again asks Muhammad about the unseen, and Muhammad gives these answers.
He came to him and said, I am going to ask you about 3 things which nobody knows except a prophet. What is the first portent of the hour? What will be the first meal taken by the people of paradise? Why does a child resemble its father, and why does it resemble its maternal uncle? Allah's messenger said, Gabriel has just now told me of their answers. The first portent of the hour will be a fire that will bring together the people from the east to the west. The first meal of the people of paradise will be extra lobe of fish liver. As for the resemblance of the child to its parents, if a man has sexual intercourse with his wife and gets discharge first, the child will resemble the father, and if the woman gets discharge first, The child will resemble her.
Oops. Okay.
The third answer is unscientific, and we definitely know that's not true. So, according to your criteria, your prophet is not a real prophet. By the way, guys, in the first story is Jibril that is asking the question. In the second story is Muhammad asking Jibril for the questions. The stupidity of these hadiths have no words.
Anyone have a guess? Is 50 enough? 50 prophecies which were confirmed and came true. Is 50 enough? What about 100? 1,000? What if I was to tell you, if there was 1,000,000 prophecies of the Prophet ﷺ where he said things which were risky, unpredictable, falsifiable, chronological order, and they were confirmed, what if I was to tell you 1,000,000 of them is not enough? Would you say I'm right or wrong? Wrong. You have show of hands, right or wrong? Raise your hand if you think I'm wrong. If 1,000,000 prophecies is not enough. Okay. If we think miracles, prophecies are enough, we should all follow Dajjal. Why? Because he's going to give you, in front of your very eyes, things that supposedly look dead come back to life. He's going to command the sky to rain and it's going to look like it's raining. He is going to do things which is going to confuse the hell out of you. Right? Isa alayhi salam, whatever he did with Allah's permission. Dajjal is going to claim he's doing it by himself. So why are we not going to follow Dajjal? Because he's doing miracles, and we also have the miracles of the Prophet, but he's doing miracles. What's the difference? The difference is the theology. What is his theology? Who's God? He's God. The theology of the Prophet ﷺ is that Allah is worthy of worship. It doesn't matter if a man comes like him and says, here's a miracle, here's a prediction, here's this. If the fundamental theology is false, we don't care if it's 1,000,000 miracles.
So, how you know the theology is true? Islam, my friend, in case you didn't notice, is the religion that made ISIS. How you know the theology is true? I mean, Islam fails in all kinds of levels. In science, in morality, in ethics, in... How you know? Allah is not the devil. And he uses... My friend, this is the number one argument of Christians. That Muhammad was a false prophet and he lures people into an antichrist religion. How do you dismiss that? How you counter that? We know that Islam is pure evil. So, okay. Stop wasting our time. Subboor. Okay. Guys, by the way, the prophecy I wanted to address was the prophecy with the Romans. But I didn't get to do that. Anyway, the prophecy's argument is a joke. Thank you very much.
So what? Yeah, I'm Gabriel, Jibril, I'm here to communicate some revelations from the one true God. Jesus didn't die for your sins. We crucify someone that looked just like him. No, dude, I'm not lying. Can you not see my wings? Can you not read? What is this? Gabriel. Yeah, Jibril, Gabriel.